Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another WhiskAYE podcast. Um, this one is the 31st. I bet you thought they'd end by this point, but no, we're still going if we ever get around to uploading.
They've sort of had some hiatuses, but we've never actually missed a box. We've just missed a lot of uploads and then uploaded everything in a rapid succession.
Which might be what happens here. So if you see a bunch of them, this will explain why. As always, we are looking at a Dram Team box. And this one is the Japanese whiskey edition. So that probably gives away the Josh's journey. So the card says, Japanese whiskey is world renowned for its quality, and we're very excited to dedicate a whole Dram Team box to it. This edition showcases 6 scintillating drams from some of Japan's best known brands and their famous distilleries, each drawing on its own way on the wide variety of spirit styles this very special whiskey producing nation creates. Kampai. So,
Kampai.
Yeah. Which I think is cheers, basically, isn't it?
I hope so. Hope I haven't just insulted a bunch of Japanese people.
Yeah, Chris has just set us up being like, they'll read that. Do you want to take us straight into his first one then? Been a while since we've done any whiskey drinking, so I'm keen to get straight in.
Might as well go quickly so that we can finish it before the alcohol hits.
Is that how it works? Gonna outrun alcohol.
I think as the backlog grows for your liver, it stops processing it very well at all, and it all goes to your brain. So
well, that's a good thing, isn't it? If we keep damaging his liver, it'll get slower and slower, and eventually we will be able to outrun
it. So up first, anyway, is Mars Kasai.
Keep reading it, and I'll look it up.
It's a blended whiskey, so that's in. Just not all of these are single malt. Some of them are blended, so I thought I'd point it out. In fact, more blendeds than not, but that's fine. Founded in 1985 and mothballed not long after in 1992 because of tax reforms (brackets boo). The Mars Shinshu distillery reopened in 2011, and so is a relative newcomer. Kasai is actually an English. Kasei, okay. Kasei.
Do you know what it means?
Mars.
Yeah.
Because the next line on the card says Kasei is actually an English approximation of the Japanese word for Mars, which is also reflected in the eye-catching planetary image on the packaging. This expression is a blend. Hope it's not a blend. Of both malt and grain whiskies from a variety of barrels.
I like grain whiskey.
It looks more like a blood moon on the bottle, to be fair.
Have you got the bottle? Oh, it's on the back, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the back of the card. I was like, how do you get?
Yeah. I just get full bottles. Don't know.
You're gonna have to do a lot of running if you're outrunning that one, then.
Yeah. An intense and rich profile with white flowers and ripe fruit on the nose.
See, part of me thinks that this is like you get a Japanese whiskey, so you start to think of Japanese things like white flowers.
White flowers, yeah, probably.
Like because it's cherry blossoms, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're pink, but they can be white, can't they?
Yeah. And then on the palate, if you're I can come into the nose. Let's have a sniff, Steve.
You got to me straight in then.
It's appley, I think.
Yeah, I'd say appley. It's quite fruity. It reminds me of it makes me think it's going to be like a Glengrantty style.
Yeah.
Quite narrow. You know, it's not got any kind of real depth to the.
It actually smells quite a lot like a white wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a dessert wine.
Yeah. Apple / dessert wine on the nose. I'll put that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going in. What should I taste?
You should be tasting warm honey notes with green apple and white grape. So the white grape would probably lead you to believe wine. And then in the finish, a citrus and vanilla finish.
That's quite nice. It is warming, actually. Yeah, apple definitely. It's very crisp, I would say. Very crisp. I get what they mean by kind of a citrus finish, like that kind of narrower finish. Maybe a little bit dry finish. And it's quite sweet.
It's quite nice. It is. it gives the feel of something which would have a creamier flavour, but it doesn't have the creamier flavour. If that makes
Straight down the
sense.
centre of the mouth, innit? There's no cheek action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like this. It's very. Yeah, I think crisp would be if I had to sum it up in one word.
Yeah. There is sort of honey notes there, but it's more actually in the palate rather than like on the tongue, if that makes sense.
It also, I don't know if it's just me, but I was just testing if it was, but it tastes cold.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But it is warming.
Yeah, but I'm wondering. So it's like, I'm gonna put tastes cold. I was just checking if it was actually cold.
Some of the flavors that are in there remind me of the ice wine cask, but like muted.
Yeah. Very crisp fruit notes. Hints of ice wine cask. I think that's fair. I see where you're coming from. It's like you say, it's muted. It's dialed down a little bit.
Mm. Basically, I took a sip and I was like, this tastes like something I've had before, but not quite. And then, as you were saying, it tastes cold. I was like, there it is.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, I'm not sure. If I was going to make a whiskey based on Mars, I'm not sure this is what I'd go with.
I mean, I suppose it's probably pretty cold on Mars.
Yeah, it's further away, I guess.
I'd probably try and get red apples rather than green, though.
I think I'd just do a really sherried one or a port one.
I'd make it dark.
Yeah, red and heavy, and I feel like Mars is usually associated with like heavy things.
Yeah, like Total Recall.
Yeah, which is a great first film, and I don't mind the remake. It's not Total Recall, but it's not a bad film.
But the remake, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they had to change the situation so that
it was a bit silly, wasn't it?
They got rid of Mars.
Yeah, a lift from one side of the Earth to the other is a bit weird. But yeah, I mean, it's not Total Recall because Arnie did Total Recall, case closed. But it's a pretty good film.
Yep.
Right. Yes.
Back to the whiskey. I was just going to ask, like, maybe there's like maybe Mars has like other connotations in Japanese culture.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have like different zodiacs or if there's like an equivalent to Mars, the god rather than the planet, and then
they've got a lot of gods. Yeah, if you go by like,
well, they have
Shinto.
There's a couple of religions, like multi-theist religions that are in the region, isn't there? So
yeah, the older ones, they have a lot of gods.
Yeah,
like they make the Greeks look like amateurs. Really cool ones, though. I really like. I've read a few books on Japanese mythology, and there's some really cool bits.
That's good.
Did you want to give this one a score?
All right, so let's just recap. It's been a while. Our scoring system.
Yeah.
We're saying that 2.5 is a good whiskey.
If you could get like a 2.5 for like 25-30 quid from a supermarket, that you've done okay. You've not done well. You've not done bad.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. So it's like, I don't want to say anything because I feel like I'm insulting them then. But
the problem is that all the 25 to 30 pound whiskies you remember are good whiskies. Yeah. I'm going to say like the Noid Statement Clemery.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I was thinking like a Jura.
Yeah.
For me, and I like Jura, but like the entry level Jura, whatever that is now. It used to be Superstition, but they do it by age now, don't they? Yeah. So for me, I would say this is a cut above, but it's not quite into the greatness. So I would go for a 3.5.
I could agree with that. Yeah, I'd be in the 3.5 range. So I'll go generous to begin with, and then regret it for the rest of the box and say 3.5.
Everything else is now going to be a 4.
Yeah.
We still, maybe I did score. We'll see. Well, as we go, we can always. Maybe that's what we. Well,
it was between 3 and 3.5. That's why I was recapping there.
Maybe we do a revisit at the end of his episodes because they're not long enough already, and we
The problem, I think, is that it's difficult for us to remember. But I think usually when we feel like we've massively oversold the first one and we've struggled, we do normally come back to it. And
We do, yeah. That's why you've got to listen from beginning to end. You can't just skip.
Yeah. This isn't just some,
Amateur
dip in
hour.
and out amateur hour.
Yeah,
It's a real show.
TikTok.
TikTok.
I don't know what TikTok is.
I don't even know how you would monetize a whiskey TikTok. Just you drinking a whiskey and being like, tastes like whiskey, and that's the end of it.
Getting progressively drunker, I guess. No, you wouldn't even drink the whiskey, wouldn't you? Just have like the bottle of whiskey in the foreground and you do some stupid dance in the background in public, getting in people's way.
Yeah.
There you go. It's like in the way, in some distillery, blocking people from actually doing the tour or whatever.
Yeah. And then, 100,000 subscribers make more money than sense.
Make more money than we do now, yeah. Right. Next whiskey, yeah?
Yep.
So, and you might have to look up some words for me on how you pronounce some of these, but I think hopefully they're okay.
I feel like it should be all right for this one.
It depends if it's a long O or a short O.
Yes, fair.
But it's I know it's Suntory whiskey. I know that's how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Toki or Toki. I would say Toki. Because aren't those like chocolate sticks that they've got POKI, aren't they Pockies?
Yeah, that's fair. Or do they have a wave on the O?
I mean, if you learn anything from English, it can be spelled the exact same, change one letter, completely change the pronunciation. So
I think when learning other languages, you should not learn anything from English.
Yeah, fair. So Toki means time, and I prefer that because it's it's TikTok, so it's Toki. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Means time in Japanese. And this bottling aims to bring together the old and new from Suntory, featuring whiskey from all three of their distilleries: Yamazaki, dating back to 1923, Hakushu, and Chita, both established in 1972. The majority of the liquid is Hakushu malt and sweet Chita grain. I don't know if it's Chita or Cheetah. I apologise if I got it wrong. Dangerously drinkable, widely available, and excellently priced. This is definitely a dram worth knowing about. Cool. Thanks for letting us know then, Chris. So on the nose, you should get basil, green apple, and honey. Basil's an unusual one.
Not certain I know what basil smells like, but
it's a shame you didn't put thyme.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing if you ask substitutions at Tesco.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, well, exactly. So they could have got away. He could have got away with a great pun. This is why we should write the cards.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I was just giving my glass a quick rinse.
I do get your apple-y, honey sort of. It's very light, sweet, ripe fruit smells.
This one smells a bit richer than the last one. A bit deeper.
I can get behind that, yeah.
I don't know if that's what they mean by basil, because it gives it that kind of savoury edge. I'm wondering if that's what I'm smelling, a bit of sweet, a bit of savoury.
Maybe. I'm not, again, I don't know why I don't know what basil smells like. I know what most.
Maybe like an apple turnover kind of thing, like you've got that pastriness I'm getting a bit.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll. Go on then, dive in, I'll tell you what you're tasting. Grapefruit, green grapes this time, peppermint and thyme. Oh, they did get the pun, fair enough. Finish is subtly sweet and spicy finish with a hint of vanilla oak, white pepper and ginger.
I don't know that I get grapefruit, but... And also, what's the difference between a green grape and a white grape?
Well, red grapes are sweeter than green grapes, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing green grapes are then sweeter than white grapes, would be my guess. So maybe the tart it's more tart, less sweet as you go, less colour to mark up.
I held that in my mouth for longer, and I got grapefruity, very citric.
Yeah, that is very citric.
And there is a peppermintiness in there, like maybe not peppermint, but there's some kind of.
There's a mintiness, like a freshness.
Yeah.
I get a bit of spice at the finish, but it takes a while to come through. I guess it does say subtly sweet and spicy finish.
I'm more just getting the oakiness. Maybe some. I'll go again.
It's quite oaky on the taste. I was just about to break into song. Yeah, that's. Yeah, sorry, that one's really nice as well. I get what they say when they say like it's dangerously drinkable.
Oh yes, it's very easy.
This you could have 2 or 3 of, and I don't think you'd know.
It's not very warming. It's not super spicy. It's not super strong.
It's just tasty.
Yeah, and it's a drink that you can keep sipping without much issue.
Yeah, there's no real alcohol burn to that. It's what is it? 43. So sweet, citric notes to begin, with oakiness coming through. Mildly spicy, no, very mild spice on finish. And I'm going to steal dangerously drinkable.
Mm-hmm.
That is very nice. Yeah, it's making me revisit it.
I read that spirit manufacturers don't like it when you say this because it means that you have
smooth.
Yes, it's very smooth. Because it's like the lack of anything, but I'm not saying it as an insult.
No, it goes down easy, doesn't it?
When I say that about whiskey, I normally mean that it has an oily, creamy texture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some whiskies I love.
Actually, I'm describing how the whiskey feels, not saying, "Oh, that's smooth."
Yeah, but it's because like some whiskey, like and I always go back to this one obviously, but an Abuna,
Mm-hmm.
I love that whiskey, but it is not smooth. Like if you drink that unprepared,
yeah, you get knocked.
Yeah, it will wake you up. This one, someone could pass it to you and you could be like distracted and just take a sip of it and you'd be fine.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
Do
you want to do scars?
I'm going to say that I would probably put this at a 3.5 as well.
So I agree, but that I think I'm going to knock that Mars one down to a 3 because
I think this was better. So yeah, I think we go 3.5, and we just correct ourselves now and head on.
Well, it's fresh in his mind. Is it time for a whiskey talk?
It is time for a whiskey talk. It's a very apt time given the order of the whiskies in this box, because I'm going to talk about the history of Japanese whiskey. Basically, Japanese whiskey owes its origins to 2 men. I'm going to apologize. Probably going to butcher their names. Don't really understand the vowel stresses in Japanese. Don't know what it means when you put 2 I's next to each other. But I'm going to try.
I think you shorten it. I remember reading in one of the books on Japanese mythology that if you've got 2 together, you just pronounce it as 1.
Okay.
And I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
So the first man is Shinjiro Tori. That's double I. So
sounds correct.
The second man is Masataka Takatsuru. Now, Tori was an importer of Western liquor and other things who decided to branch out and start creating his own versions of the drinks he was importing. I think he did a port, which he made his fortune out of, or his first fortune probably, before eventually deciding to found his own distillery to make Japanese whiskey for Japanese people. In the pursuit of that, he founded his own distillery in Yamazaki, which is a suburb of Kyoto known for its water, and also the company, I think it's Koto Bukiya, which is now Suntory, who made the whiskey that we just drank. When he was founding his distillery, he hired someone, and that's where the second man comes in, Tori hired Taketsura as a distillery executive due to his background studying, well, you could say he studied distillery. He studied biological chemistry at Glasgow University, but he seemed to find that his passions were in whiskey. He spent some time in Strathspey, some time in Lowlands, some time in Campbelltown. So basically, he was hired to become the distillery executive, and he played a key part in founding the distillery in Yamazaki. Did I mention the water? Because Yamazaki, it's a sort of an aside, but Yamazaki is basically a suburb of Kyoto that's known for high quality water.
Okay, yeah, I think
they
I
had
think
there was a imperial tea room there and stuff because of the water.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So after he'd helped found the Yamazaki distillery for the company now known as Suntory, he then branched out again himself to found his own whiskey company called Dai Nippon Kaiju, Dai Nippon Kaiju, I think, which we now know as Nikka. They're going to be the next whiskey that we drink. So this is a segue as well as a segment.
Segment.
Yeah, and in that he established his own distillery in the northernmost island of Japan, Hokkaido. And he chose Hokkaido because, in his opinion, it was the most similar island to Scotland, or the island with the most similar features and climate to Scotland. And we were told about this when we were at, I believe it was Strathfila.
I think it was Strathfila.
And he went there. He went and picked the place because he was trying to make his whiskey as close to Scotch, because he's obviously just developed a bit of a passion for Scotch when he was in Scotland.
Yes.
You could say even more so because he actually married a Scots woman whilst in Scotland, and she shares her maiden name with one of our presenters, and it's not Milburn.
It's not the one you'd expect. No.
But yeah, well, the story we heard was that he was trying to get the most similar water sources, the most similar climate, the most similar even elevation to keep the pressure the same as the places that he'd been to and studied the whiskey making distilling process in Scotland.
Yep.
So he's probably the one that the Japanese should thank. I feel like Tori was probably the money man, whilst Taketsura was probably the whiskey man.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Nikka,
let's try some of his.
Let's try a whiskey from his distillery. I mean, I feel like he probably doesn't know much about this because he was dead in '79.
We might learn about that later.
Yeah. But there we go. So,
thank you.
Nikka whiskies.
I enjoy learning through Whisky Talks.
Yeah, it's good fun. I enjoy the frantic, oh no, I've forgotten to research my segment time.
Obviously, I had fully researched it, and it wasn't when you messaged me being like, are we doing this? And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. But yeah. So on to actually the first of 3 Nikka whiskies.
Yep.
So we have a Nikka whiskey, single malt, Miyagikyo.
Miyagikyo.
Okay. In this single malt bottling from Nikka, we get to experience the wonderful fruity delicacy that is the Miyagikyo distillery signature style. While there isn't an age on the bottle, the majority of the whiskey is at least 10 years old. So it's a NAS, but there's quite a lot of well-aged whiskey in it.
I guess it's similar to like a Solera cask, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, that's kind of weird. but a really enjoyable smell.
Okay, well, what you should be smelling, it says, as expected, soft and sweet, with fruit and floral notes, elegant aromas of fresh flowers, soft fruit, and some candied orange peel. So
it is soft, like a really soft kind of. There's no kind of, what, like sometimes you smell a whiskey and it gets right into your sinuses.
yeah, you have to take a minute before you can go back.
Yeah, this one doesn't do that. I'm not sure I get fresh flowers, but definitely soft fruit, and I like the candied orange peel. The kind of sugary-fied citrus.
Yeah. I guess I could get. It's almost waxier, like wax flowers.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I know what you mean. It does feel like it's got like coating or something that's muting it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's taking the highs and the lows out the smell and just giving you like a really pleasant kind of mid range.
Yeah. Which is sort of what I guess what you were getting at with the. It doesn't burn out your sinuses.
Soft fruit and wax flowers. I'll give you that. I like that on the nose. Okay.
Okay, on the palate, should be slightly richer with toasty roasted nuts and ripe fruits. There's some darker, more complex notes too, in the form of chocolate, along with candied fruit and some honey. Then in the finish, the fruity floral notes dominate, ably supported by a touch of toasty oak and spice. Very well balanced and approachable.
Yeah. So there's nuts. I got that before you said it. For once, there's definitely some kind of chocolatiness, and I'm wondering if that's like a little bit of bitterness that comes through with the sweetness is what it means. There's an oakiness to it, and I think that develops from the nuttiness.
It's very nice.
It is very nice. I get the richer. This is more of a mouthfeel than the previous ones. A bit wider in the mouth.
Yeah, there's like maybe I want to go in again.
It's more savoury than the last two, I would say. Definitely more savoury. Savoury notes of nuts, oak, with some dark chocolate, I would say.
It just tastes. It actually tastes quite decadent.
Yeah, I know
it's
what you mean.
almost like the chocolatiness is almost like, what's that?
Ganache.
Yes, it's like ganache. It's like a walnut whip where there's like ganache and then a nut on the top.
I like this a lot. Yeah, savoury notes of walnut whip with decadent ganache. Hey, we're getting good at this. Oh, you are at least. But it shows that there was something there because I knew exactly what you meant when you said it.
Yeah, I struggle with the words for.
It's because ganache is like one of my favourite things on this earth.
I struggle with words that I need to know for work. So
I'm gonna say there's probably a couple of billion people on the planet that I would kill for some ganache. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
For me, it's probably Tiffin.
Tiffin's a good shout.
Yeah. Raisins and biscuits.
I've been getting into, because I go to Marks and Sparks because I'm posh now for my food, and they do like these Rocky Road bars.
Oh yeah.
And I've been getting into them because I get one of them for my walk back. Give me a bit of energy to walk back, especially if it's like a bit rainy or whatever. And they're just, and I'm not a big marshmallow fan, but yeah, they're just really good.
Marks and Sparks one, so it's probably got 3 different types of chocolate and.
Yeah, there's that, or there's this honeycomb crisp that they do, and that's really nice as well.
Yeah. I mean, we tend to shop at Aldi, and then we pick up the things that Aldi don't stock from M&S because it's right next door.
Yeah, I mean, Aldi does quality stuff though.
Yeah.
They do really good. Like their meat selection, I think, is probably the best out of all the supermarkets.
Yeah, we were cooking something that needed like baharat or some.
Yeah, and
some fancy spice, and you can't get that from Aldi. That's a thing that you go to an M&S for. You probably don't get that in like Morrison's either.
They do good porridge, M&S as well.
Yeah.
You can get like loads of different mixes.
Oh, they do decent granolas actually as well. Like
yeah. I think it's the same because they do a bunch of different types, don't they, in those bags?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
And then for anyone who doesn't like porridge or granola but somehow likes oats, there's muesli.
Yeah. No, yeah. And to be fair, Marks and Spencer's, because I've got a Co-op or a Marks and Spencer's near me. Marks and Spencer's
Co-op's
is not.
as expensive as Marks and Spencer's.
Yeah, it's not much more expensive, and it's just like the selection is just so much
When I
better.
lived in Helensburgh, the only reason I didn't shop at there's a big Marks and Spencer's, or there was a big Co-op, and the only reason I didn't shop at the Marks and Spencer's is because I could walk to the Co-op. So they were the same price. There was no.
The Marks and Spencer's is a bit further, so sometimes I can't bother. I'll go to the Co-op. Like if I need to pick something up at lunch, I'll go to the Co-op.
I don't know if it's the same in England, but Marks does have. Oh no, it was Waitrose we had actually. Never mind. But Waitrose has a good selection of whiskey.
Yeah, Marks' selection of whiskey that I've seen is quite disappointing, but it is a smallish Marks, to be fair. Yeah. The food bit that I go to. So they used to stock a bunch of compass boxes and stuff like that. Maybe they still do. Don't know. So anyway, I put soft fruit and wax flowers on the nose, savoury notes of walnut whip with decadent ganache, very rich and warming.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very good. I actually really enjoyed that.
I really enjoyed that. Do you want to give that one a score?
I'm going to give it a 4.
I think that's a fair score. Yeah, straight up.
I could be pushed to push the score up to 4.5, but I need to review what has been a 4.5.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. It has been a while. I've got to be up early tomorrow, so I'm hoping I can manage it.
It's not. Are you not working from home, I guess?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I am. I've got an electrician coming around.
All right. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can not work because you can just say the electrician shorted your house.
No, because I raised that this morning. They're like, can't you hotspot in on your work phone? I was like, ugh.
Yes. You could, all you have to do is do like 2 hours of work and then say that your batteries have all died.
Yeah. Anyway, so the next whiskey.
Not that I recommended that.
No, not that you've ever done that. No. The next whiskey on the list, whiskey number 4, is another Nicker whiskey. And this one's a little bit weird because, anyway, it's Taketsaru Pure Malt.
Mm-hmm. Named for the man we were discussing, I'm assuming.
You would expect so, yeah.
Yeah.
So pure malt is synonymous to blended malt in Scotch lingo, being a mix only of Nicker's malt whiskies with no grain component. The main influence is the softer malts from Miyagikyo, with smoky richness from the Yoichi portion. Aged in ex-sherry casks and American oak, it's remarkably complex. It's weird, isn't it? Because like you just said, pure malt would be a single malt, but I get why they call it that. It's got no grain. It's purely malt.
Yeah. Makes sense, but it's not a
But when I first looked at it and it was like pure malt and it's a blend, I was like, seems a bit counterintuitive.
So I'm guessing the reason it has to be a pure malt and not a single malt is because Nicker has more than one distillery.
Yes, it's from 2 distilleries, yeah. Because single malt obviously has to come from a single distillery.
Single source, yeah.
Yeah. So on the nose, butterscotch and vanilla toffee lead with crunchy barley sugar notes developing. I like a barley sugar. Toffee apples, peach, and spiced bread notes build, with beeswax and light honey notes following. Candied lemon and orange peel hide at the back. Were you ever told that, like, barley sugars, you have them on a plane to stop your ears popping?
Is that like boiled sweets?
Have you never had a barley sugar?
I think I probably have. I've had the ones that come dusted in white and like icing sugar.
No, I don't think so.
No, they're probably
generally like brown, like a boiled sweet, and they're just sugary. They're nice. But yeah, it's because it's a boiled sweet. But that was always the thing I was told by my parents, was like, barley sugars stop your ears popping, but it's just boiled sweet stop your ears popping because
it's actually just literally
your jaw.
The act of sucking moves the muscles at the back that
it turns out your jaw muscles pretty connected to everything up there.
And it opens up your ear canal, and then that.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wondered if that was something that's just my parents being nuts.
I mean, I think it's not wrong. It's just.
I think it's just because my old man likes barley sugars, so he just decided that was the one. Because he's got an excuse to buy them.
This does have a very, like, the first thing I get is like that butterscotchy.
Yeah.
Like caramelly, creamy.
Toffee, yeah. It's creamy is a good one. It does smell very creamy. It's got that kind of softness to it again, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Less getting to your sinuses.
I don't know that it's chopping off the scents here still. I think it's just that
The
This
scents
is
are
going to
soft by
sound
themselves.
stupid, yeah, because obviously the scents in the other one were soft by themselves, but they felt like they were being muted. Whereas this
Something
one,
had been done.
Whereas this one feels like this is the complete profile. It's just
It's
something that you can describe, but not as well as actually experiencing, I think is the problem.
It's a lovely smell of this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
All of them have smelled nice, but I think this one smells the best.
This one has like a little bit of like a sort of toasty, meaty kind of.
Yeah. Right, I'll let you dive
If you've
in.
ever had like or smelled mead.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Not many meads, but I have had it before. Right, so you should be tasting honey drizzled brown bread and freshly sliced apples lead, turning darker as treacle toffee and raisins build. The freshness continues as darker notes develop with pears, and lemon peel on top, and singed fruitcake underneath. The finish is vanilla sugar dusted apple slices and toffee slowly fade to reveal cinnamon toast and apple peel. This sounds gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some really tasty notes. Do you get all those? Every single one?
Not quite all at once. That's why I went back in for the second sip. I struggle to find
That's pretty gorgeous.
the apple at the start. I get more of a fresh
apple at the end.
Yeah, apple at the end.
But the start is definitely that toffiness.
Yeah. I can see what they mean by like a honey drizzled brown bread. That also sounds very meaty to me, like what I was saying about the smell. Like,
well, it's malt and
yeah,
honey.
Malt and honey, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what when I have beers, and if I taste maltiness, to me is like bread crust.
Yeah.
So it's brown bread. It's that is what malt tastes like to me.
Yeah. Makes sense. Like a malted loaf.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. That's really nice. These are all really nice. She's tough. It's an hard job we've got here, isn't it?
I don't know that tough is what I would say. Scoring them is tough.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Drinking them is.
Yeah, too easy.
Mm-hmm. This is.
Yeah, so it's definitely the kind of like the caramelized, sugary, honey drizzled brown bread if you want. Yeah, so I think we go with toffee, mead flavors dominate to begin.
Yeah.
Do you get that kind of darker treacliness coming through?
Sorry, I was on my last mouthful. Not really.
No.
Maybe like a little bit in the finish. There's some kind of, but then it really quickly picks up to like a clean apple taste.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting like the singed fruitcake. I'm not getting like the.
Not getting raisins or anything like that.
No, the burntness, if you know what I mean. That I think that the whoever's written these taste notes is managing to pull out. It's still like the mead flavors is still like 70% honey and 30% malt.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I'm not getting into where the malt would take over and turn it into that sort of the bitterness would maybe take over and turn it towards a treacly toffee.
Yeah.
I'm not getting it.
No, I'm not getting that. That was really nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not worried about not getting it. I enjoyed everything that was there. So
yeah,
I would probably be going to a 4 again.
A 4 again?
Yeah.
That last one was really good. But no, I'm with you.
It turns out that Nick are just very, very good at this.
4 again. Right, sorry, I'm having to record the time we did that.
Hope there's a Nick table at the event that we are going to in a couple of months' time.
Oh, wait. I cannot wait. It's going to be great, isn't it? Actually doing it in person for. Hopefully everything's still open. Hopefully Boris hasn't messed it up enough that.
Hopefully, if Boris does mess up, you can come here and Nicholas kept the,
It's just where I can come back.
Well, he works from home, so just bring your laptop.
I'm just going to bring those up, yeah.
There's a vanity table going in the spare room. You can use that as a desk.
Or Bear would appreciate me intruding in his space.
He doesn't. No, he lives in the office. So.
I feel like he probably considers everything his space, does he not?
Well, right now he can't get up the stairs because he had to switch to the proper cone rather than the inflatable neck brace to stop him licking himself after getting his operation. So he can't go up the stairs. So.
Fair enough. He's like a Dalek. I'm safe from up the stairs.
So that will be not the case when you come. But...
Well, I'll just have to bring a comb.
Yeah, just bring the cone and pop it on.
Yeah. Right. So you know what time it is now, don't you?
It's time to go for a journey.
A Josh's journey. Yeah.
A Josh's Japanese journey.
Yeah, Josh's Japanese journey. I don't have another J. Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't planning on going that far.
I was gonna make a joke about it being the JJJ and it only being one off something really, really bad, but maybe that's the wrong kind of joke to make.
Yeah, I don't like the I either.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
So this is gonna interweave quite well with the whiskey talk, I think.
That's good. Because
obviously, if you're gonna do a visit to Japan, in a box where you've got 3 from Nikka, you've got to go to Nikka.
Yeah.
And
hope I didn't step on your toes too much.
Not too much, but I am used to it. I do know you by now.
Yeah.
I'm riding my coattails all the way. So Nikka is a brand rather than a distillery, and it owns 2 distilleries, Yoichi, and Miyagikyo, which we've tried in whiskey number 3. As you said, it was founded by Masataka Taketsuru, who's known as the father of Japanese whiskey. He travelled to Scotland in 1918, and you've covered a lot of this. He enrolled at the University of Glasgow, taking chemistry, and then he apprenticed at 3 Scotch distilleries. And the 2 notebooks he filled during that time became Japan's first ever guide to whiskey production. In 1920, he returned to Japan with his wife, with her excellent maiden name. But unfortunately, the company that had sponsored him to go over to Scotland and learn about whiskey production had abandoned the idea because of the recession following World War One.
I did not know that.
That was
my research.
There you go. You see, so it was for that reason that the second company, now known as Suntory, picked him up. They were looking for someone who could produce whiskey, and he was the only Japanese person who had ever gone over to Scotland and learned his trade through both his studies and his apprenticeships. So, as he said, he was hired on as executive, and in 1923, they built the Yamazaki distillery, which is the first one in Japan. After 10 years with Suntory, he decided to go independent, and then he built his first distillery in Yoichi, Hokkaido, as you mentioned, and he chose that area because of the weather, the climate, the elevation, everything. He was a real stickler for detail, and you can tell it's all that because it's actually really hard to access. It's got the sea on one side and mountains on the other 3. It's a real pain to get to, but it was all about putting it in the right place for the whiskey.
I'm sure that his notebook basically was like, in Campbelltown, the weather is like this, and this changes the whiskey this way. In Lowland, the weather is like this, and this changes the whiskey in this way.
Yeah, so initially they produced fruit products like fruit juice, and it was 1940 that they launched the first whiskey that bore the name Nikka. And it continued to produce at the Yoichi distillery for 30 years before the sister distillery, Miyagikyo, was opened in 1969, 10 years before Masataka Taketsuru died in 1979 at the age of 85. So the first distillery, the Yoichi distillery, is on the sea, and it's surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, and that's what gives it a kind of briny, almost highland character. It still uses the traditional coal-fired distillation that was installed at the opening of the distillery because that is what Longmorn used, and he apprenticed there. So this type of distillation, of using the direct coal fire, is quite a pain. It's difficult to control the heat, and therefore you have to employ skilled craftsmen. But it's that gives the Yoichi distillery its bold, toasty, burnt flavours, and that's why they continue that to this day.
That's right.
And the Miyagikyo distillery, that was founded because Masataka wanted to he wanted to broaden what he could produce. So he wanted a contrasting style. He didn't want something that was the same as what he had before. So it's significantly south of Yoichi. It's on the main Japanese island of Honshu, just a bit north of Tokyo, quite a bit north of Tokyo. And it was open, as I say, to provide that kind of ability to make more complex blends by having two different styles in his control. And he chose the site. It's a junction of two rivers, and it said that on tasting the water from one of the rivers, he was so impressed that he knew that was the right place to put it. But it probably also helped that the river was called the Nikawa.
And his company was called Nika.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the stills at Miyagikyo are much larger than Yoichi's, and they're heated by indirect steam rather than direct coal. And that creates
I'm just thinking that the direct coal must have a maintenance burden. It's a bit of a nightmare, but yeah.
Yeah. But that's why none of them do it. It's very rare nowadays that it's like that. I don't think Longmont does it like that anymore. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Just directly heating metal by burning things under it tends to cause compounds to build up.
Yeah. And this gives it those soft and floral notes, which was completely purposeful, because those soft floral notes contrast really well with the toasty, bold flavors from the Yoichi distillery. And it also, in the 90s, had the two coffee stills installed at the Miyagikyo distillery, which allows it to produce the grain whiskey as well as the malt whiskey, which is why we get these blends.
Proper blends, yeah.
Yes. So both the coffee stills that Nika controls are at the Miyagikyo distillery. Only pot stills at Yoichi.
That's fair.
So there you go. A little bit of a tour of Nika's capabilities, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely somewhere we need to visit one day.
Also helps to explain a couple of things. So in here we have a Miyagikyo single malt, then we have a Japanese blended malt. So it's almost like this is like the blend is with the two distilleries, but just their malts, and then the third one, the one we're about to have, it's just a straight blended whiskey. So that'll have some of the grain in it. So we've had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's a good range of what they can produce.
Yep.
And I already know how good this one is because I have a bottle of it.
Oh, that's good. That means is this one that I've tasted? Sorry, bad dogs decided to bark.
That's good to have contributions from all of the team.
Yeah. He's obviously like, what do you mean? Have you tried it?
Yeah, I think you probably have.
Yeah.
But
let's have a look at what the bottle looks like, and then
yeah, why don't you tell us what we're dealing with now?
Oh, we're up to the Nika Japanese blended whiskey from the barrel. It's called an absolutely iconic Japanese whiskey and a well-established gateway whiskey for Scotch lovers. This is a near cask strength blend of malt and grain spirits from Nika's Miyagikyo and Yoichi distilleries. In its brick-inspired blockish bottle, it both packs a seriously robust flavour punch and punches well above its price category, practically guaranteed to end up on your shelf. Well, I mean, you've already given it the golden
Actually
endorsement.
guaranteed.
Yeah. So on the nose, it's rich and fruity with some peppery spice to liven things up. Delicate orange fruitiness with some creaminess from the oak.
I get the kind of fruity and then the pepperiness.
So I'm expecting that. I'm guessing that we've got a blend of we've got the malt and grain and the malt and grain from Miyagikyo and the malt from Yoichi.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be a pure malt.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it's not the malt from Yoichi and just the grain. By what is written here, it seems to be malt and grain from Miyagikyo and then also the malt from Yoichi.
Yeah, everything they can make.
Yeah. So we should be getting some lightness from the Miyagikyo, some smokiness from the Yoichi, and then some also sweetness from the grain.
Yeah.
You would assume.
It's definitely fruity and peppery on the nose, light pepper, but still there.
Yeah, it's got that.
Undercurrent of pepper on the nose. What should I be tasting then?
Big flavors: clove and cinnamon, malted honey, and clean citrus. Water softens it, bringing out clean fruitiness and reducing the toasty spice. And then the finish at full strength. This lasts a very long time with the fruit and spice outlasting the oak. So it's 51.4%. So it's strong, but not. I mean, saying near cask strength is. We've had.
It's just lovely. It's just. I end up always at this point by Whiskey 5 being like, oh, it's just lovely, but it's just lovely. There is a spiciness to it from the strength, but it's not overpowering. It allows things to come through. Clove spice is probably on the Josh's scale of spice. I feel like a bit of a narcissist that it's Josh's journeys and Josh's scale of spice. Really could do with coming up with some other names. Maybe one with an S. It's cinnamon. There's that kind of honey sweetness. There is a little bit of citrus, kind of, not tartness, kind of. I always want to say it's astringent, but it's not what I mean. Like the dryness, if you know what I mean. And
it's very. Sorry, I was just enjoying the finish. It
is very long finish, isn't
it? It's like fruity in the cheeks and spicy on the tongue.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Punched my mic.
Angry drunk.
It's because I was trying to.
It's fruity on the tongue.
I was articulating cheeks to nobody in particular.
I'll forgive you. You're 4 whiskeys in.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm going back. I'm going to have one more sip without water in it, and then I'm going to drop a couple of drops in and see what happens.
I'll put a bit of water in mine. So I've got clove spice. That's a definite. But there's still that kind of honey sweetness. Clove spice, honey sweetness.
It's just so delicious.
Yeah.
It's like a cross between like children's cereal and adult cereal. Because it's really sweet and sugary, but it's also got that like bran flaky, earthy maltiness to it. It's basically sweet and savoury are combining.
Oh, that's really nice with a bit of water, actually.
Oh, okay.
That pains me to say. Yeah, because I'm one of those idiots who's just like, no, you got to have it without water. But that's it does damp down the spiciness as you'd expect, and it allows things to blossom. That's really nice.
The problem is I want to let the finish before.
Yeah, take your time. It's a worth. So this is a good whiskey.
This is a very good whiskey. I mean, this box essentially shows that Japan can hold their own. They don't need to,
If there's a second, maybe a third, Ireland might dispute it. Yeah. But if there's a top 3, we'll say, of whiskey producing countries, Japan's in there. Absolutely.
I think Ireland for a while didn't do. I would say that they would say that they fell off, but they're sort of back in it now. So.
Yeah.
Like it's no longer just like Jameson's and.
Oh yeah, no, they've got Teeling and Teeling's great. You know what it makes me think of now? You saying that. Adult and child cereal. It makes me think of muesli.
Yeah, pretty much. It's got the fruitiness, the sweet fruitiness.
But it's got those toasty notes as well.
Yeah.
But like an alcoholic muesli, which sounds amazing.
Oh, it's kind of different with the water.
Yeah. You get more of the toasty notes coming through, I think, with the water. Less the sweetness.
Definitely. It takes the spice and quite a bit of the sweetness out, but yeah, you get. Yeah, it's like. They say that the fruitiness comes out, but I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, the fruitiness is still there. It's just less.
I think the
sweet.
the toasty, malty, oaky notes come through more.
Yeah.
With the water.
It's definitely different in a good way though. Like I think there's some whiskies where when you add water, they don't have enough going on to take it.
It just makes it a muted version of what it was, and it's like, oh well, that was a waste.
Whereas some whiskies, it really damps down the ethers, and that changes the profile a lot.
Takes the harshness out. Are you ready to score this one? Are you still enjoying it?
I've finished, so I'm ready.
I think I can predict the score, but
I'm going to go 4.5.
Yeah. Yeah. See why I bought a bottle of it?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What was the what's its price point that it punches above according to the card?
Well, let me check.
Mom.
What we scored it previously.
Oh yeah.
Nicker. Oh, maybe we haven't shared it. I must have.
Or if we have, we haven't scored it.
Yeah, I don't. It's not on here before. Price point.
Get it for like 40, less than 45, like maybe less than 40 quid if you're on a lucky day.
Yeah, around the £40. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I
consider 40 to be like what you expect to pay for a bottle of whiskey. So
yeah.
I mean,
I've nearly run out of this one. I've got to buy another one. It's just
living in Scotland, a bottle of like Glen's vodka costs you like if it's a 70 cost because of the tax we have based on units. Yeah.
You tax alcohol more than us, don't you?
A lot more, yeah. Minimum alcohol pricing based on units.
Which is cheaper? You buying alcohol or me buying it and then sending it to you?
Oh, probably still me buying alcohol.
Depends on the units, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, if we're talking about ridiculous stuff like super, like like the ciders,
absinthe.
No,
like an 80%.
Like the ciders that are like a quid for like 3 liters in England.
Yeah, White Star and that.
Yeah, the ones that are made of onions.
Just an onion.
Yeah, those are like £9 a bottle in Scotland. So,
Jesus, no. White Star is all about it being a quid because it's like 8, 9, 10%
type of alcohol that the tax was aimed at. The tax doesn't really actually affect most spirits. It's just the very, very bottom of the barrel ones.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't mind the idea, to be honest. But then they've told Rishi has given a tax cut, hasn't he, to Scotch and that?
Yeah.
In his budget. It's like, don't really think. Obviously I'm pro it because I like whiskey, but at the same time I'm like, I feel like most people are going to go buy Scotch are willing to pay for a premium product.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like, oh, this was £40, now it's 45. I think they're just going to be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, they're like. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm not buying this so that I'm not buying one of these a day.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. I feel like.
That's what I mean. Is like the people that you're protecting with high taxation on booze is the people. No, I say protected.
But yeah,
damaging
you are right.
Alcoholics, people who are going through a bottle of spirits a day.
I feel like there's, even as someone who absolutely adores whiskey to the point that he's basically making a room a shrine to it.
Yeah.
I think there's bigger priorities for the government to spend the money on.
Yeah, it's just a good way to try and win over like.
Yeah, it's because we're a pub culture, aren't we?
Yeah.
Especially, England especially, and that's who they're trying to win because he can win. You don't need to win Scotland if you win England.
Yeah.
Which is why Scotland's going to go independent.
Probably.
Yeah. Cheers, Boris.
And then there'll be no tax on whiskey. All the other booze will be taxed.
Yeah. It'll be amazing. Yeah. At this point, I can't say as I blame them if they do. I'd be upset if they did because I like being as we are.
Having to have a border check.
Well, I mean, I'm quarter Scottish and 3/4 Yorkshire. I feel like I'm closer to being Scottish than I am being a Londoner.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem: is that when people talk about Scotland, the only reason that Scotland can go independent is because there was a historical border. But like, to be fair, what most people want is to take everything north of like the M4
Yeah.
And outside the M25, all of that, and just make that.
Yeah. Just push the rest
independent.
out. They can
And
go
like
join
the
France
south,
or whatever.
the south. In fact, we'll bring along like Wales and
Wales is definitely part of us. Yeah.
probably
It's not
bring
part of it.
Plymouth too.
Yeah. I think we can take Cornwall and Devon and that.
Yeah. So really, what I'm saying
Somerset,
is Kent,
Cornwall, Devon,
Essex,
southeast, pretty much
yeah.
in the south.
Yeah, they're the ones that people are. And it's actually just London, but it's the sprawl of London.
It's just Scottish tendrils, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sod in London. But no, it'll make me sad. But at the same time, you know, I don't know. Maybe if Scotland goes independent, with me being a quarter Scottish, maybe I can get dual citizenship.
If your grandparent is Scottish, you should be allowed to.
Yeah. So maybe.
Loads of people were, when Brexit happened, went and got Irish passports as well.
Yeah.
Passports.
They can travel.
You can just go do everything.
Yeah. So if Scotland went back into the EU, I'd absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Why would I not? It'd just be stupid not to.
I was one generation out from getting an Irish passport, and I was like, "Mum, can you go and get your Irish passport so that I can then get an Irish passport?"
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm English. I wouldn't dispute the fact I'm not an American. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm actually, you know, like they've got like 1,000% blood Irish. And they're like, oh, I'm an Irish. I've got Irish blood. That's what makes me.
They have no history, so they're
like personality. So, yeah, I'm English. You know, that's what I am. That's what I identify as. But I'm still quarter Scottish, and I like what Scotland does. I like the Scottish. They're a funny bunch.
Yeah, we do.
They're good for banter, and that's basically.
That's mostly what we put ourselves down as. When if we were like to become an independent country, when we went to the UN, we'd be like specialities, whiskey, banter.
Yeah. So how can you dislike that? So and this, if you take out the Yorkshire Dales, are the Moors? Maybe I like the Moors. Scotland's got the best scenery as well. Lake District would be close. Yeah,
but the whole west and north of Scotland is like the Lake District.
I know, but the Lake District is still pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But the Cairngorms, it's just driving. I mean, you didn't like driving film, but I did.
Well, I didn't hate the scenery. I just hated the fact that my car was trying to fall apart.
No, you hated the fact that it was basically what's the Roadhouse or whatever? No, it's not Roadhouse. What's the one where it's like a stunt driver chasing people down the road? It's like a Robert Rodriguez or whatever.
Yeah, Death Race.
Yeah, no, Death Proof or whatever.
Proof, yeah, it's Death
yeah.
Proof, yeah.
It was basically that with the truck, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think there is a horror film about a truck that they cut off.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it's a Stephen King one.
Yeah, it was basically that. Just that. A distillery lorry chasing us down. We should probably go on to the last whiskey, shouldn't we?
Well, yeah, probably. We needed a break because we just had.
We had a cast strength.
We're about to have the.
Yeah, we've gotta let it fade.
Rise of the bunch, apparently.
Yep.
Back to Suntory.
Yeah, indeed, Yamazaki, which I think, from what we've said, was the first distillery in Japan. This one's mine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So this is the Yamazaki, aged 12 years. So I think this will be the first one that's got an age statement, or at least has it in the title. So this says, a single malt from Suntory's Yamazaki distillery. This wildly popular age statement release is now very hard to get your hands on and very expensive. With reserves of well-aged Japanese whiskies running very low in recent years, this 12-year-old now sells for as much as 3 times the price it did 10 years ago. We had to call in a few favours and sell a spare organ or two, but we managed to get our hands on enough bottles to give our Dram Teamers a rare chance to taste this historic and iconic whiskey. Enjoy. As long as it wasn't your blooming liver and kidneys, Chris, because you'll need those.
It's £130 now.
Jesus, for a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Is expensive. Right, so on the nose, peach, pineapple, grapefruit, clove, candied orange, vanilla, and Mizunara Japanese oak, which we know because there was that Strath Island done in Mizunara casks.
Oh, yeah.
And that was really nice because we had it at the bar while we were waiting for the.
I'm sure like Strafila, the reason that we were reading about, we're hearing about Japanese whiskies is because Strafila has like, well, Strafila is owned by Chivas, yeah, but I'm sure they had a bunch of Japanese whiskey in their
I
bar,
think they did. Yeah.
and then we were asking them about it, and they were like, oh well, it's also like because the pagodas and stuff, which are actually inspired by Japanese architecture.
Yeah, because it was that one guy who was designing a bunch of distilleries, wasn't it, in Scotland at that time?
And it was just like, oh, this is how the Japanese get the smoke out of. This is a Japanese chimney, basically, and so just chuck them up everywhere.
They fit the environment remarkably well.
Yeah,
they don't stand out. They just look right. Distilleries just fit the Scottish environment.
That's even like big blocky ones that are industrial as hell, like Glen Grant, or fancy new one, not Glen Grant, like Glenkeith, or fancy ones like
Strafila is pretty gorgeous,
or pretty ones like Strafila, or fancy newfangled ones like the Macallan. They all
Macallan is pretty gorgeous as well, in a completely different. Because Strafila's got the water wheel, hasn't it?
Yeah, or like Glenfiddich's like little village.
Yeah. I still want to see Balvenie one day.
One day, but the wait list is probably like 4 years now. So.
I was going to say 20 years, but yeah.
I mean, I feel like I want to just put my name on, and then when they say go, I'll like just drop everything and get a helicopter.
I mean, I'm up for putting my name on it and just dropping everything. I'm a contractor. I do what I want.
Yeah. So.
Suddenly ill.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you're just dialing in from the tour.
Yeah, just like in the background, they can be like, and over here we've got the second still. I'm like, oh, I'm just feeling really dizzy.
I mean, really
dry mouth, and it's just strange. Almost like a bit of a hangover. It's weird.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so peach, pineapple, grapefruit, clove, canned orange, vanilla,
basically and fruit and oak is what it's sweet fruit and oak.
I think it's quite a sweet oak as well, Mizunara.
It does have a sort of.
This is a very sweety
candy.
Yeah, it's a very sugar, like a syrupy sweetness.
Yeah.
Yeah, syrupy sweetness.
It's like, I get what they mean, like the fruitiness mixed with that syrupiness though. It's almost like peach rings or like, or like pineapple jellies or.
Yeah, there's a fruitiness and a sweetness there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like,
So
it is that though. I couldn't pinpoint. I wouldn't be able to pick out peach, pineapple, grapefruit.
No, you just get like candied fruit.
There's also a spiciness in it. I can actually get that now, but I was just attributing that to the oak before.
That's the clove. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll let you dive in. You should be getting coconut, cranberry, and butter. I like butter. Taste, sweet ginger, cinnamon, and a long finish. Do you get coconut, cranberry, and butter palette with sweet ginger, cinnamon, and long finish taste?
It is buttery.
Buttery?
Like, and it feels buttery.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to go for that word that you used, decadent. It feels viscous.
Yeah.
It's not, but it feels it.
I don't really get the.
Don't get coconut. Cranberries maybe, but not coconut.
I don't know. I can see maybe where they're getting the coconut from. It's more like a banana, but more like a banana.
More like banana chips.
Yeah, like where they take the tartness of bananas being like cooked out of it.
A kind of flat fruit flavor.
Yeah. Which I can understand why you would say coconut for that, because coconut as a fruit is kind of it's not a fruit. It's a nut. Assume. Doesn't have seeds.
Can be both.
It is a seed. Makes it a nut, I would believe.
Yeah. Buttery smoothness. There is a slight spiciness to it, so I'm wondering if that's what they mean by the ginger.
Yeah, I've left my second pass. I was just wanting to enjoy the long finish whilst, because we don't get much of these ones. Not
Yes.
surprising, being that
Yeah.
130 quid for a 12-year-old and they don't make it anymore.
Slight warming ginger spice. Long finish. Yeah. Got in for my final taste. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
It's delicious. It's buttery. It's very buttery.
It is very buttery. I'll put that in your thing because it amuses me, the idea that your comment is very buttery.
Yeah, it's just, we don't really expect it. You know, like,
Yeah.
it's like melted butter though, like, you know, like on a crumpet or whatever.
I know what you mean. It's got that kind of quality to it rather than
Or
a
like
flavour
when you
to it.
absolutely drench your toast.
There's no
that
point in
kind of
toast
feel.
if you're not going to drench it in butter.
Yeah, but you know what I
Like
mean?
people who have
like,
Scotch pancakes and just put a massive dollop of butter in the middle and let it melt.
yeah.
Still the worst thing that ever happened to me in America.
What you ordered?
Got a stack of pancakes.
Yeah.
And they had like a thing on the top, and I was like, "Oh, that's butter. I'll let it melt." And it was blooming sour cream, ruined all the pancakes.
Sour cream.
I know. I was like, I just want
It's not
just want a stack of pancakes with butter on.
Yeah, and
Surely
maybe
America is the
syrup.
place to get that, but no. Yeah, syrup, or I know sometimes you put bacon on it. Fine, I'll go with any of that. But no, the sour cream is that.
Sounds like you went to a terrible diner.
Goddamn America. Yeah, that was in New York, I think. Yeah, it was, because it was when I went for... That was an RE trip.
Oh, was it all you could eat breakfast?
Yeah.
That's such a mad thing.
It's just America, and everything's all you can eat.
Granddad and uncle went to Vegas and there was an all you can eat breakfast, and they told me after they came back that there was people there eating like 4 times what you would eat for your dinner if you hadn't eaten all day.
Yeah.
And it was because of, like, you know, $10, eat as much as you can and you don't have to eat again.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? I like my porridge.
But like steaks.
Oh yeah, they put out, yeah, but it's been like under a heat lamp for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's like a minute steak. It's not a real steak. But
yeah. Do you want to give this one a score?
I think it's like a.
I'm going 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I was like, it's not 4.5. It's not as good as the last one, but it's not a lot worse. But is it enough worse to be worse than any of the other ones?
It's weird, innit? Because if we'd have had 25, maybe we could have got enough out of it to make it as good.
Maybe, yeah.
But,
or we might have been like, this is just quite one note. Every drink's the same. But
yeah.
I don't think it would have been. I'm just saying that's the thing with the 10 mil is. Not that we're criticising Chris, but realistically, I would pay a little bit more if you wanted to just make all 625, since you can't get 10 mil bottles.
Exposure.
Yeah, but you know.
What do you want?
But yeah.
Right. So that was our Japanese adventure. We sincerely, and I mean sincerely, apologise if we've mispronounced anything. I know it's a bit of a trope, a bit of a cliche that idiot Brits mispronounce everything the way they go, but we haven't done it intentionally.
We've tried.
I have looked up some pronunciations.
To learn the grammar and pronunciation and
yeah. The last thing we want to do is offend
grammar,
anyone.
What etymology and stuff of words that aren't in your own language.
You've got to remember that English does not have accents over letters.
Yeah, or we don't really. If they do, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we when it comes to linguistically,
we have no
British,
rules.
So
you just learn what to say, so it's hard for us to like program in our head when this happens. This is how you say it.
We are the most linguistically ignorant people in the world. So apologies.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have like through and rough.
Yeah, through, tough, rough, and low.
Yeah.
Yeah, but. Hopefully the fact that we adored the whiskey that your country produces makes up for the fact that we can't say any words.
It was very high scoring box. But
it was. That was very tasty indeed.
Fan of. They don't make a lot, but what they do make it. I imagine it's because the companies that try and don't do as well as Suntory or Nikka just don't make it.
Yeah, I think there's only
You've got-
specific points you can make it on the islands, if you know what I mean. So it's the real estate is competitive. But yes, so that was the 31st podcast. Hopefully you will see this one fairly soon after we've recorded it, and it might be in a bit of a splurge because we've got a couple of in the backlog at the moment.
Right now should probably be early 2022, I would imagine.
Yes, that would seem fair.
And that would mean that very soon we are going on a little trip, and we should have a little bit of a backlog.
Yes.
But we should be telling you about it very soon.
So Happy New Year. Hopefully 2022 is going for you better than 2021 did.
Or if we've managed to get them out slightly ahead of schedule, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever else there is around
Hanukkah.
there. Yeah. Happy Hanukkah.
There's
probably others.
Ramadan.
Is that then?
Not sure. I'm wrong, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it is. But if it is, happy Ramadan. If not,
yeah.
Wait. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Cheerio.